Warning. This podcast is about the horror genre, specifically horror films. As most horror movies are filled with coarse language, violence, and/or gore, the topics and language of the cast of the pod will also reflect the genre. If you have any issues with the aforementioned warnings, please press stop. But if you have no issue with adult language, movie violence, or the accoutrement that accompanies horror films, please feel free to continue. You have been warned.
The cast of the pod wants you. Be part of the cast of the pod as a guest host. Look for us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Cast of the Pod. Join the cast of the pod. Do you have memories of a horror movie? Do you like talking about your memories of horror movies? Cast of the Pod is for you.
A what?
What is that? Ew.
What is that? Ew. That was the... Oh, it doesn't matter what that was. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Cast of the Pod. I'm Josh.
And I'm Deb.
And today we're going to be talking about a movie that we saw on Netflix yesterday called Polaroid. Yep. That's it? You're supposed to add in where I don't have things to say.
Okay.
So, anyways, like we said in the thing at the beginning, we're looking for guest hosts. Right now, you see me and you see Deb. And normally when it's just the two of us, this is a newer movie or something like on Netflix or on Hulu or on Amazon Prime. Not necessarily the classics, because we want to save the classics for when we have a guest host like you on, and all three of us, four of us, five of us can talk about it in a group. So whenever you see just the two of us, more than likely it's just us talking about a movie we just saw, just like how we recently talked about Little Evil.
That was a funny movie.
Yeah. But today we're going to be talking about the 2019, seems like so long ago, right?
Yeah.
Movie Polaroid. Like with the camera and the... Oh, I should have brought my Polaroid camera out.
Aw.
Man. So, if you go on IMDb, it says high school loner Bird Fitcher has no idea what dark secrets are tied to the Polaroid camera she finds. It doesn't take long to discover those who have their pictures taken with it soon die.
I
What?
was gonna say something
And
I was waiting for you to stop and then I went blank.
anyways, directed by Lars Klevberg, writer and screenplay, Blair Butcher, and it stars Catherine Prescott as Bird Fitcher, Tyler Young as Connor Bell, Samantha Logan as Casey, Keenan Tracy as Devin, and Priscilla Quintanilla as Mina. Now, Deborah, do you recognize Samantha Logan?
No.
Casey?
No.
She was a girl that, I think, no, it was Mina that burned her hand.
Yeah.
So, this is the
She
one.
looked, when I first saw her, she
So,
looked familiar.
This is the first part, so we're not going to go into spoilers or anything like that.
Okay.
Samantha Logan is from All American. She's the sister from the TV show All American that we watch. Or not the sister, Olivia.
Oh.
Okay, so going back into the oh, you know who else is in this show?
Who?
Mitch Pileggi
Oh, yeah.
from the X-Files. He was also Darby on Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy.
And it's funny because he's like over there on Darby Street. I wonder if he threw that in there, if the writers threw that in there.
For Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, well, just, I mean, he got used to saying Darby. Well, it was his name. Did he say it over and over again?
No.
Okay. Anyway.
Maybe the directors are big fans of Sons of Anarchy.
So, giving a spoiler-free discussion about the movie. We'll get into the spoilers in a little bit, but Just is there anything about this movie you liked? Anything you didn't like?
So, when we had both decided that we wanted to watch a horror movie, where I went, let's look for a really cheesy movie, like a really horror kind of comedy, kind of like we already know we're not gonna like it.
Okay.
And so,
Because usually we talk more about the movies that we don't like.
yeah, because the movies that we do like, we're like, we want you to watch them, so we really can't say much about the movie.
Okay, so how did we get to Polaroid?
So I was going through, we were trying to find a cheesy movie that wasn't long either. So,
Yeah, it was late at night.
So we were looking for something like an hour, 10 minutes, an hour.
This movie is
Whatever.
listed as an hour and 28 minutes. Drama, horror, mystery.
And so I was like, okay, it was either this one or another movie. I forgot what it was called.
Girls with Balls.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, I didn't really want to watch that movie last night. So I was like, let's watch this one. And you're like, okay. So, like, as soon as it began, I was like, okay,
What
why?
made you pick this movie, though?
I don't know. It was just, I saw the trailer and it looked really bad. The trailer.
So then you
looked-
know it's a trailer. Then
Yeah, it's like, and I mean, everything that happened in the trailer happened in the movie, but for some reason, I was like, I'm not gonna like this movie. This is perfect. Let's watch it. And
So it sounds like something switched up from when you assumed what you thought it was going to be to after you were done with the movie.
yeah, because I really did like it. I mean, it's not one of my top movies, but I really did like it, and there was parts in the movie that scared me.
See, this movie on IMDb is rated 5.1 out of 10, and that's with 10,713 votes. UNITY, we saw two different things because you liked the movie more than I thought you were going to.
I did too.
And with me, the movie was too dark, as in literally dark. There were a lot of scenes that went
You
on
couldn't see.
that you couldn't see anything that was going on, and we had the brightness up on our screen,
Yeah,
and we
we
had
turned off
all
the
the lights
lights.
just so we could make sure we could see everything decently, and it was still too dark. I know you have to tease the look of characters and all that, and you do that with shadows, especially in a movie like this where they're talking about cameras and stuff like that. But for me, it was too dark. I ended up, the movie is okay. So since we're not doing spoilers or anything like that, what do you give the movie out of 10? 10. Remember, 10 being the best,
Yeah.
1 being the 0 being the worst.
I guess I give it a 5.
I give it a 5. Yeah, same thing. I mean, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't great, but
But it wasn't.
I don't regret seeing it. The movie had some good pacing to it. There were a couple of shots that looked really cheesy. I hate to break down movies that nitpicky, where the lighting in this one shot made it look like they were in a green screen, or maybe it was a green screen.
And you could just tell that it was a green screen.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was on this movie or not, but and it's a shot that there's no graphics or anything going on. It's a mother talking to a daughter out at night in the rain or in the snow or something like that.
It was snowing, yeah.
And it just if it was a real actual practical shot, it looked very green screen. Just, I don't know, because of the way it was lit or whatever. I hate being that picky, especially on a horror film. But graphics wise, there had to be CGI in there because of the shadowy type character and all that. It was okay, with the exception of it being just too damn dark. There's scenes where it's not that dark, and in those scenes it looks great. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
You awake over there?
Yes, I am. I was waiting for you to finish.
Oh, okay. Well, don't watch the screen.
I can't see myself.
Oh, okay.
So I agree with you. It was really dark, and there were some parts through the dark that I wanted to see and I couldn't because it was too dark. And I asked you a couple times, like,
And they
what
were,
happened?
yeah, they were leading you on with stuff. So it's not like it's, for me, the scariest thing is leaving stuff to my imagination. But they were showing you just enough that you really weren't, there wasn't anything to imagine, because you can kind of see some movement on the screen, but it was just dark.
Yeah.
And I know for some people, if it's dark in the theater, and these movies are intended to be seen in a theater, then it cranks up the chiller factor to it, the thrill to it. But I mean, it just, and it happens at the beginning of the movie. So the first half of the movie is just too dark.
Yeah.
I hate to beat a dead horse, but
Yeah, like there's like that part where they that one girl went down, looked like a basement or something.
of
It was,
course
like,
there's always a
really-
basement or a hallway or something like that.
And this movie had me talking to the movie. So, yeah, I gave it a 5 because there were some things that I didn't like, but I mean the movie was better than I thought. But if it would have been a little bit brighter, like if I could see. Then,
So we repeated ourselves a bunch of times because we're trying to not give anything away about the movie. So we can get into the spoiler section. We both agree the movie's a 5 out of 10. We both agree that it's too dark to enjoy the beginning of it, and I would have given it like a 5 or like a 6 or a 7 if you could have seen more of the beginning. And
I do like if you're at home, you're bored, you have Netflix, and you want to watch a movie.
and you've seen everything else.
Yeah. I would recommend this. I mean, like I said, it's not an awesome movie, but it's an okay movie to, hey, I just want to kill some time, just watch a
Okay.
movie.
Okay, so now we're gonna go into the section after we've already rated the movie, and we really didn't want to be one of those podcasts where we're critiquing the films and being critics of films and all that. But hey, we need to fill up content, and that's what we're doing now. So that's why we're not watching the classics when it's just Deb and I. We're waiting for you. Back cast of the pod. You see it right there. Cast of the pod. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Let's go into the spoilerific section of the movie.
Okay.
All right. So, spoiler alert, spoiler. From this point forward, we're going to be spoiling the movie. Do you want to start? Or do you want me to start?
You go ahead.
Okay. So, I don't know why. I don't remember how the movie starts, just because it was so dark. And there's this girl, and she's working in a boutique, a thrift store type thing,
Yeah, it's an antique store.
antique store. And her buddy walks in and says, "Hey, look what we have. It's another camera." Is that how the movie starts?
No, the movie starts with the two other girls, completely different from the group of.
That's right.
Kids.
Okay, go ahead.
So the movie starts with these two girls in a bedroom, and I guess one of the girls' bedroom, and she's like, "Here, take my picture." I don't know who they're taking a picture for one of these guys that she likes or something, but she's like, "Here, okay, take my picture."
Use
she
this
takes the-
because it only takes one picture.
And it only
Who-
the whole thing about the movie is Polaroids are more intimate because only one person can see the picture.
And
Yes.
have that picture. Unless you scan it or take a picture of it.
Take a
And then-
picture with your phone and send it to somebody else.
Yeah. But that wasn't talked about in the movie. It's just if a Polaroid is the one thing, then just that one thing only. And then, of course, they take the picture of the girl, and in the background of the picture, there's a shadowy figure.
But they don't see it until I think the other girl leaves. She goes home, and the one that the bedroom belongs to, she's there. And she's the one who was in the picture.
Who was in the photo. Yeah, her friend took the picture of her. And she dies.
Yeah.
Right. So then it cuts to the scene of these new characters in the thrift store or whatnot, the antique store. And they build this whole story, which I was kind of disappointed about her wearing a scarf. And they pick on her at school, calling her Scarf Girl.
But she's
and
all
Scarf
sad
Girl and
about
Scarf
it.
Girls.
I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not even a.
It's like when they wrote the movie, somebody told them, you need to add some more depth to the character.
Okay, let's call her Scarf Girl and make her wear a scarf throughout the whole movie.
She's a nerd because she wears a scarf. And so her friend gives her the camera. She's like, oh my God, it's what kind of camera is it?
An
SX70 or something like that. And she uses the camera. She takes a picture of him. She doesn't realize in the background, and I think, but I could barely see, I think the shadowy figure was in the flash, was in the background.
No, she didn't see it there.
No, but did we as viewers?
I didn't see it, but
because it was so confusing, because it was so dark. Even when they were in the boutique, it was dark.
Yeah, it's like, why are you sitting in a dark room?
Yeah,
by yourself.
Which happens later on in the movie too, where we'll get to that part in a minute. Oh, we'll just talk about it now. There's a girl walking around her house after a picture of her was taken at a party, and every room is pitch black, dark,
and
it's
she
dark.
hears the noise, remember?
Yeah. And not only is it noise, she's in the basement of her house, and she hears doom, 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 like a giant walking in her house.
She's all, hello?
Hello? Hello?
Anybody there?
It wasn't just like walking, it was a doom, doom.
It's like, first of all, you're in the basement, in the dark. You don't even have flashlights.
You don't care about the environment that much enough to not have any of the lights on in your house. And that extra 35 cents for the 2 minutes it's going to be on, or not even 35 cents, a tenth of a cent or whatever, isn't going to break the bank.
And so she's walking around the house looking for the noise, what caused the noise, or the steps or whatever. And she doesn't turn on any of the lights in the house. This is the part where I said the movie had me talking to it, because I was like, turn on some lights. Why are you walking around in the dark? It makes no sense.
But so it's a group of friends. You'll see it if you're watching on the screen, and the nerd girl's kind of crushing on the guy with the black cape and the orange shirt. And then the girl on the bottom of the picture, if you, like I said, if you're looking at the YouTube video, she photobombs the group. And even though she was ostracized and she was the scarf girl and all that, all of a sudden they're like, hey, let's be friends. We're nice people now. Right?
Well, they were the other girl's friends. So it's like, if you're her friend, you have to be that girl's friend too.
Yeah. So there are two other people that weren't in this picture right now that both die that day after they get their pictures taken. And come to find out that whoever's in the first picture, as soon as they die, the shadow leaves the picture and goes into the next picture.
So
there's a lot of promise, a lot of cool stuff with this.
They could have done so much with the way. So did you notice, and it just popped in my head right now. Remember when, okay, so I think his name was Tyler.
Yeah.
The first guy, right?
Yep.
When he gave her the camera, she says, what came with it? And he's like, oh, it's just a camera and this case.
Yeah.
Right? So when later on, when they find out, when they realize this is what's happening, they're like, oh, where's the case? She's like, oh, it's still at the antique store. So her and Connor go and get it, and when they get it and they go back to, I forgot where they're at, like a library or something, right?
The library.
And when they're looking through the case and all that, you notice that the picture of the girl in the beginning was in there.
No, I did not.
The picture that she took, or that the other girl took, and it
that
was
died.
it was in the case. When they took everything out, the picture fell out. And I was gonna tell you that last night when I saw it, but I forgot.
So a little cool back tracing, or any, for that. But so needless to say, the guy Tyler, no, not Tyler, the guy that her friend, Scarf Girl's friend, dies, and it looks like he gets attacked and beaten, and the police think that maybe he upset somebody and that happened, right? Mm-hmm. And then the girl that died right after that when you learn that the shadow figure goes from that picture to the other picture, how does she die?
Which one? Which one again?
The one that's not part of the group. The girl that dies after.
The one that was mean?
Yes.
She's the one that died in the basement. Or she went up from the basement.
At the party. Yeah, from the party.
And the entity, that's when he grabbed her and then took her up to the other room. Mm-hmm. And then she fell and she was hanging. Remember?
Oh, yeah. She fell and they said that her head was turned all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or did she fall off the stairs?
They said that she fell down the stairs, even though you see him grab her like that, and then he probably chunked her.
Yeah.
Because you know that does that in the movies. You're done.
It was the first girl that was hanging upside down. She went up to the...
But...
Not the basement, but...
So, then this is where it gets complicated. They take the group photo, so now they're all screwed. And the... Mina, I think her name was... they're talking about everything that happens at school. And then she's like, oh yeah, well if that happens in the picture... and then they see the shadow in the picture. Well, let's just get rid of the picture. And they start burning the picture. And then as it gets closer and closer to the people that take the picture, closer to the people in the picture, those people start burning with the flames.
I thought that was pretty cool.
And then the cool thing was once they put the fire, they're trying to put a fire extinguisher on her and she's still burning. And then Scarf Girl decides to stop the fire on the picture. And as soon as she stops the fire there, then the people stop burning and the photo regenerates.
Yeah, it goes back.
Which was pretty cool. Later on, you find out as they start believing the whole thing, they take pictures of each other to get the entity to... They're mad at each other. It's like, oh, I'm not going to die next. You're going to die next. You're going to die next. And when they start fighting over it, one of the girls stabs the picture, and the guy has his hand in the picture like that, like, no, don't take the picture. And when she stabs him in the picture, his hand goes against the wall, and he's pierced straight through the palm. Well, I mean, there was a lot of things that were cool about this movie.
And I liked how when they were taking pictures, like you could see whoever like the next picture was, like you could see the shadow like jumping over to that picture.
Yeah, it would fade out of one and go into the other.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That was pretty cool.
So, did they want to make this a franchise movie? Did they want to make this where there was the story for the camera? You find out it was a teacher, and the teacher had tortured these kids, and there were 3 of them, and you don't know who the 4th one is. You don't even find out there's a 4th one until the movie's almost over. Right?
Yep.
The big twist of it, you start feeling bad for the kids. It's kind of Freddy Krueger-ish. But then they track down the wife, and they're like, oh, the initials of your husband are on the camera. And she's like, nope, that's my daughter. And that's when you hear the backstory. And she says, oh, well, these kids picked on her. And then they befriended her. And then they got her drunk. And then they took illicit photos of her. And then they started sharing them around school. And then she hung herself. It's that type of story. And you're like, oh, these kids were assholes. Right?
Yep.
Anything you want to add in, Deb?
No, I'm listening.
Oh, okay. And so it kind of justifies, I don't want to say justify, but you understand the point of where the dad's going through. But then you find out that the sheriff, kind of Freddy Krueger-ish, Freddy 1, was the 4th person that survived. And he's like, no, that's not what happened. What happened was the dad was doing things with the daughter and taking photos. And they were trying to get the photos to take to the police to make the dad stop so they could bust the dad. Right? Mm-hmm. And he even points out, find out the day that she hung herself. It was before that they got kidnapped. The daughter couldn't deal with it anymore. And they shoot the dad as he's holding the camera, and he falls into a vat of developing, because he was a photography teacher, into developing fluid, and then like an electrical cord falls in. So as he's bleeding to death, he's being electrocuted in these chemicals, while he's holding the camera, and that's how his spirit went into the film. That type of storytelling is cool when you're making like a trauma film, or
Yeah.
they tried to make this one look serious and dark and all that, and it was just
They really did make it dark.
literally dark. But anything you want to throw in, Deb? No.
I mean, like I said, if you have some time to waste.
This movie wasn't bad enough for us to trash it or anything like that, or for it to be, ingrained into our memories.
Like, oh my God, this is a horrible movie. Make fun of it, and it was actually.
Well, see, that's the good thing about bad movies. You can have fun talking about bad movies and sharing bad movies. This movie wasn't good enough to be memorable, and it wasn't bad enough to be memorable. And yeah, this is something that I probably will never see again. And the acting was fine.
Yeah.
The writing was okay. There was a whole bunch of good things that just weren't mixed very well. There
was a lot of things in there, like the killing, and it was also predictable, like
as most horror movies were. You could see the twist that it was the dad that did the bad things,
and like how we already knew how they were gonna get the entity.
Yeah, that they were gonna. It's like they're gonna take a picture of him, and then see that was a little different though. I thought they were gonna take a picture of him, and then he was gonna have to kill himself or something like that. But she crushed the photo,
and her finger was on the.
And when she tried to take the picture of him, her fingers were in front of the screen. So as she's crushing the photo, and you're seeing him like unfolding like that, her fingers start bending.
She's like yelling. Ah. So, but I did like that part. I did when she crushed the picture, and then when you see him just falling, but then when she lets the picture go and it gets all back to normal, the way he started.
He spider walks, does that crazy thing.
That was really cool.
And then she burns the picture, and it kind of looked like she burned her fingers off too.
Yeah.
But see, it was these that were breaking, these right here. But on the burnt part, it looked like it was the front too. When they, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
and then when he was burning, it looked like film was burning, like the way film, like. That's how he looked. That was pretty cool. So I mean, it had good parts in it. It
wasn't good enough. It wasn't bad enough. It was just there.
It was like right in the middle.
Yeah.
And
see, even the dogs agree. But yeah, it's a 5 out of 10, and the good guys win at the end. Some of the good guys die along the way, and some bad people die, and the bad person. The creature gets it. The entity. That's all I had. That's all I have to say about that. You got anything else, Deb?
No.
Ben, Poe. Anything?
Want to say anything?
You have anything else since you're interrupting?
Nothing.
Guess not. Silence. All right. So until next time, I'm Josh.
And I'm Deb.
You've been listening to Cast of the Pod. This is not one of our regular episodes, so if you weren't thrilled by it or anything like that, tune back in next time.
Yeah.
This is when we're just going to watch some of the newer movies, not the classics we share with you. We have you on as a guest, and we got Drew Hu, the wrestler Drew Hu, coming up pretty soon, and we're going to be talking about Paranormal Activity 1. Because Deb and I saw that, I don't know how many years into being married, and he was like, oh, it scared me shitless when I was 8 years old. I'm like, oh, God.
What? 8? Why do you make me feel so old?
Yep. But all right, so until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Tell your friends, tell your family. Go back and listen to the old episodes.
Yeah.
And, yeah. All right. Peace.
Bye, everybody.